What you're about to watch is the 150th episode of Jambareeqi Reviews, and I think I should celebrate to that with a little shot. Just a tiny little one. Yeah. It is 150. That's a big number, so let's have a new one. Fuck it.
Is it a cinematic sensation? Is it a masterpiece of animation? Or a terrible train wreck like Jambareeqi check? If a movie needs an exorcism, he'll smite the demon with criticism. If it deserves attention, he'll give it a heartfelt mention. A strawberry rating 1 to 5. Jambareeqi Reviews.
Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. In the Nickelodeon cartoon series Hey Arnold, there was an episode called The Journal, in which Arnold finds a journal left behind by his dad that details lots of history involving his parents. It was an episode that gave a lot of information to fans, but then ended on a cliffhanger, with Arnold finding a special map inside of the journal. Initially, creator Craig Bartlett wanted to make a film called The Jungle Movie, which would continue this story on. But creative differences between Bartlett and Nickelodeon led to this film being cancelled. Luckily, a community of loyal Hey Arnold fans got together to campaign for this film to be made. A miracle happened. The movie was actually produced. As a big Hey Arnold fan, I've been very excited to see this movie. But films based on TV shows often don't really work as movies. Is that the case for this film? Let's find out. Arnold is a kind-hearted little boy who lives in the Bronx with his grandparents and their boarding house residents. He misses his parents, who went missing in San Lorenzo many years ago, and he wishes he could see them again. He has a special map that can help him, which was left behind in his father's journal, but he's not had a chance to travel there and investigate. One day, Arnold's teacher, Mr. Simmons, announces a contest, in which students must show their humanity through a video, and the winning class will be sent to San Lorenzo, to help the same charity Arnold's parents worked for. Arnold attempts to make his own entry, but the project goes completely wrong and he gives up. When his classmate Helga notices how sad he is about missing this opportunity, she gets the rest of the class to band together to all secretly edit a video about Arnold's history of generosity, and the finished video is screened on Arnold's rooftop. Mr. Simmons also explains that the class's video about Arnold helped them win the trip to San Lorenzo. Once in San Lorenzo, Arnold meets his parents' best friend Eduardo, who tells him stories about his mum and dad, but also secretly agrees to help Arnold find his parents. However, once they arrive in the charity's camp, Eduardo reveals himself to be the crooked river pirate La Sombra, and the class is sent to prison. La Sombra wants to use Arnold to help him find the Corazon, a golden heart that's designed to help cure a disease that sent the local tribe of green-eyed people into eternal sleep, and it's an item that's worth a lot of money. Arnold's class help him, Gerald and Helga escape the pirates' prison so they can find Arnold's parents and help save the green-eyed people from the sleeping sickness by locating the Corazon. Unfortunately, it turns out that La Sombra has tapped a tracking device on Arnold and is right behind our heroes. There's a great sense of adventure and action in this movie, as we watch Arnold and his friends overcoming turbulent rivers, booby traps, and vicious pirates, while also trying to uncover the mystery of Arnold's missing parents. The film provides lots of ways to challenge our heroes on their journey to keep audiences engaged. But the film also wraps up certain plot lines from the show, to fill in empty voids left behind after the TV series originally stopped airing. Fans will love finding out about what really happened to Arnold's parents, discovering what parts of the journal meant, and at long last, they'll get to see the whole Arnold and Helga romance being officially addressed. If you plan on seeing this movie to witness those things, you won't be disappointed. Here's the problem though. You can only really cherish what this movie achieves if you're a really big fan of the Hey Arnold TV series and have watched this specific episode of The Journal. Personally, as one of those people, I got a lot out of this movie, but I'm afraid that those outside the fan base are not going to have the same kind of experience. While it is easy to follow the film, as the narrative is pretty standard stuff and basic required details are told to the audience, certain things are skimmed over, with the film expecting every audience member to be a hardcore fan. Natural film storytelling takes a backseat to catering to those who have watched Hey Arnold religiously. This is most evident in the opening, which quickly rushes over illustrating Arnold's life to the audience, throws the viewers into a sea of fan service, skips past opportunities to make casual viewers feel welcome, and pretty much brushes over the contents of the journal. When you strip away the Hey Arnold aspect from this film, what we're left with is a generic Indiana Jones clone. It's a tale of adventure about a hero attempting to find his missing family, while also trying to stop a villain from locating an ancient artifact first. Along the way, he finds romance with his female lead. Oh, and also like Indy, our hero carries a helpful journal to aid him on his quest. There's paying homage, and then there's copying someone else's homework. It's only the Hey Arnold mythos that gives the uninspired story any kind of relevance. So if you're not a dedicated viewer of Hey Arnold, you're left with an unoriginal story starring characters you're not entirely familiar with, meaning that you might not care enough to get invested in what's going on. Sure, this doesn't apply to all casual audiences. Some might become attached as the film goes along. But I can't in good conscience say that this movie was well written enough to work as a movie that's accessible to everyone. Like with most movies based on TV shows, it's putting fan service before good filmmaking when it comes to its storytelling. Fan service isn't always just callbacks and references. If a movie's story only means something special to fans of the source material, then it's fan service. In other words, despite what the title says, this is not a movie, it's a long episode of Hey Arnold. But what really bugs me about this movie is how everyone reacts to the big twist that Eduardo is really La Sombra. They all call Arnold a sap for falling for his plan, possibly believe that Arnold is in cahoots with La Sombra, and blame him entirely for them all being in this mess. Now, don't get me wrong, Arnold has made mistakes in the film that are worth calling out. He foolishly assumed that La Sombra was Eduardo, he too naively believed in the validity of the competition, and he was naughty for holding secrets from his friends. But how dare Arnold's classmates act like innocent victims and put all of the blame on Arnold's shoulders alone? First of all, Mr. Simmons was the one who introduced the competition to the class. He should have double-checked the authenticity of the contest before announcing it to the kids. He more than anyone deserves the biggest blame because he's the grown-up in all of this. Secondly, Gerald actually pointed out how the contest feels contrived towards Arnold.
It's almost like this contest is designed for you.
So screw him for joining the Arnold is a sap camp. When he saw the holes in the villain's plan, yet never put two and two together and realised that this might be a scam directed at Arnold. Yes, he's more angry about Arnold holding secrets from him, but he's still siding with the others nonetheless. Thirdly, after failing to make his own competition entry, Arnold actually gave up trying. It was his classmates who actively made something and entered it into the competition, not him. Therefore, they should take credit for the San Lorenzo trip, and can also be accused of not researching the competition before entering it. Lastly, the video Arnold's friends made celebrated what an amazing, perfect guy Arnold is, and they suddenly think he's willing to backstab them to find his parents, doubt his good intentions at heart, and blame him for putting them all in danger? Wow, what a bunch of two-faced phonies! Despite all this, the movie actually sides with Arnold's class. Not only does the film frame Arnold's teacher and classmates as being rightfully disappointed in him, but the movie also never, ever makes any of these characters own up to playing a big part in falling for La Sombra's evil plan and apologize to Arnold for making him take all the blame for everything that's happened. This not only makes Arnold's punishment seem more cruel than it needs to be, but it also creates a terrible lesson that it's okay to not take responsibility for your actions, and it's fine to make a friend your scapegoat. I know that the characters in Arnold's life are meant to be chaotic comic relief to juxtapose against his relaxed personality, but they're also his loyal friends. There's a point where comic relief characters stop being funny when they just become obnoxious tools for forcing tension into the story. especially when said tension doesn't even last long. Yeah, after all their anger, Arnold's friends very quickly forgive him, making that scene come across as pointless melodrama. Not to mention, some of these characters should know better. Not all of them are designed to be stupid or silly. Some of them are genuinely smart and down-to-earth people. I know that a lot of people are probably thinking that I'm nitpicking, as this scene is very small and doesn't last very long. But here's the thing. Small scenes can affect the big picture. It's why directors have to think very carefully about what scenes to keep in, cut out, improve, or even add in. I'm told that Nickelodeon had a lot of interference with the film, so that probably explains things. I'm going to give 3 points to the content. Arnold is a boy with a lot of heart and a genuine empathy for others, but what makes his arc in this film interesting is that his motives are much more self-involved than usual. This makes the movie feel more personal to Arnold, but also pushes him to make decisions that could risk his friendships with others, making him more realistically flawed than the perfect guy he's usually painted as. He still proves himself to be a great role model though, as he does retain a lot of care towards those around him, even strangers. I also like how Arnold's entry for the competition was to make a shelter for a homeless person, but he ends up using material belonging to other homeless folks. That's both pretty funny and a great example of how someone well-meaning could end up ignoring the bigger picture of their good deed. Helga is still her usual passive-aggressive self, but the film does explain this behaviour by showing that her parents still neglect her. At first, Helga plans to help Arnold find his parents in hopes that he'll show affectionate thanks. Her insincerity is clear when she forces a confession of love to Arnold while in San Lorenzo, not thinking about the bigger thoughts he has in mind at the time and ignoring how important his quest for his parents really is. It's only when Helga begins genuinely caring about Arnold's mission that Arnold starts growing more comfortable around her and becomes willing to share his feelings too. Helga's arc teaches the lesson that relationships require selfless love. This message is cleverly mirrored against Brainy, who has a crush on Helga, knows she likes Arnold, yet is still willing to help her, an excellent example of true love, the kind that Helga must learn to express. Gerald, Arnold's best friend, may not always support Arnold throughout the film, but after he forgives his mate, he contributes what he can to the mission to save the green-eyed people. He also has a cute little romantic subplot with Phoebe, a pairing that will be appreciated by fans who ship these two characters together. Phoebe may be stuck in prison with her class, but she plays a big part in the film. She uses her intellectual smarts to help Arnold escape, and SOSs Helga and Olga's parents to get them to come rescue the school children. She's kind of an unsung hero in the story. But Arnold's pet pig Abner should also take credit for travelling all the way to Arnold City to inform his grandparents about what has happened. Le Sabre makes for a threatening villain because he's willing to cruelly sacrifice his henchmen for his own safety. He's also very sly and sneaky, using clever tactics to be one step ahead of our heroes, and pulling off his Eduardo act very effectively. In addition, I like how he has a sense of humour, often providing some of the film's biggest laughs.
Yeah. I have a question. Does this dump get Wi-Fi?
Yes, but I'm not giving you the password.
You monster.
How did you guess? Go change it to the other password. And don't forget to write it down this time.
But what disappoints me is how boringly generic his motives are. He's yet another children's movie villain who wants to steal a culture's treasure for money. How many times have we seen this character in a kids' movie before? Surely there could have been a more interesting motive for this character. Like, for example, he could have needed the Corazon to cure his own family who is suffering from the sleeping sickness. This would make things personal for the villain and complicate the morals of the situation for Arnold. This could have led to a compromise at the end of the film. There just needed to be something that doesn't make Le Sabre yet another gold-hungry, native-exploiting bad guy, because it's a well-tread villain archetype at this point. Mr. Simmons enters San Lorenzo with a scheduled plan to follow, to make sure the kids stay safe, but once the cat is out of the bag, he loses his marbles and becomes entertainingly loopy from seeing his fix agenda crumble. Like I said though, it does bother me that he never takes responsibility for introducing the contest that tricked the class in the first place. While it's great to see Arnold's classmates again after many years, and I do appreciate how they play a part in Arnold's escape from the pirate's prison, I can't deny how most of them are just one-joke characters, here to repeat the same shtick over and over, from Harold's obsession with eating food to Rhonda being a spoiled brat. Yeah, these are traits we expect from these characters, but seeing the same jokes of Rhonda being too attached to her phone, or Harold referencing his love of food, can become gratingly repetitive for a whole feature film. I get the impression that these supporting characters are best appreciated in small doses, and more suited for 10-minute lesson of the day stories. Arnold's grandparents are charmingly entertaining as usual, being their typical quirky selves.
Yeah.
Oh, Pookie, that's a fake hitchhiking leg.
Oh, stick in the mud.
While also expressing their love for their grandson through emotional support and even rescue. While Helga and Olga's parents are their typical awful selves, never really realizing their neglect towards Helga is crushing a sense of self-worth and ability to express sincere feelings. It's a shame that they don't get a chance to evolve in this movie, and that their child abuse is reduced to being a running gag.
This is the worst news ever.
I'm worried about your safety in this St. Lawrence place, Olga.
I'll be fine. Thanks, Bob.
Oh, good, you're here. Take this bag of peepers with you and sell them to the locals.
Aren't the girls on a field trip? Olga! Oh, and the other one.
Oh, right, Helga.
I'm going to give 3 points to the characters. The animation for this movie is certainly more polished and refined than the TV series, and even goes to great lengths to pull off cinematic shots. But it's still a TV movie, so there's often that itching feeling that things could look more impressive. It's not bad animation, it's just not the best production values for the kind of grandiose action-packed scale that the film is clearly going for. As it is though, it's pretty good for TV movie standards. The characters' redesigns look sharply modernized without being dated, the animation is colourful and readably expressive, both comedically and dramatically. The Central American backgrounds look gorgeous too. Plus, when the film wants to execute an ambitious sequence, it looks kind of cool for what little budget there is to work with. Although, the 3D CGI effects are jarringly terrible, never naturally blending with the 2D animation and looking more like cutscenes from a PlayStation 1 game. I'm going to give 4 points to the animation. Now, keep in mind that this movie has a very big voice cast, so I can't talk about everyone. I'm just going to discuss the primary voice actors in this film. Mason Vale Cotton voices Arnold. He does a great job at capturing Arnold's sincerity as well as his determination to find his parents.
Don't worry, I've got a map. And according to my dad's journal, the Green Eyes lived somewhere around here.
Francesca Marie Smith reprises her role as Helga, nailing the emotionally stunted, passive-aggressive nature of her character.
I hate peepers. Well, the only thing that I can kind of tolerate is... Arnold! I mean, I said everybody out of my way, hair boy!
Benjamin Flores Jr. voices Gerald. He's actually very good at pulling off his character's natural charm and charisma.
Arnold. Please, can you help us?
I don't suppose she hablas inglés?
I got this. Hey, girl, how's it going?
Alfred Molina plays the role of La Sombra. I like that he is very capable of pulling off the villain's Eduardo act, but I also appreciate that he's excellent at dueling both the sinister and comical side of his character.
Arnold! Could it be? Arnold, it's me, your parents' best friend. Que buen fortuna. So, you finally caught up to us, Eduardo. You call that a mustache?
I'm going to give 5 points to the voice acting. The music for this movie is one of its biggest strengths. Scenes in Arnold City retain the show's distinct jazz and blues sounds, which capture the gritty atmosphere of the streets. When we get to San Lorenzo, the music becomes exotic, effectively reflecting the Central American culture. If the movie decides to amp things up by throwing in a conflict or obstacle, the music becomes surprisingly cinematic for a TV movie. It's a shame that the music is having to match itself against a TV production, because the television budget animation doesn't really live up to the cinematic weight of the orchestra, which creates a jarring polarity between the quality of the sound and visuals. I'm going to give 4 points to the music. To conclude, Hey Arnold the Jungle movie is a really fun way to wrap certain things up for the Hey Arnold TV series, and it won't disappoint hardcore fans who will squee at so much that the film has to offer. As a continuation of the series, it does a fantastic job satisfying those who felt disappointed by the show's cliffhanger. As a movie though, although it provides lots of well done action, comedy and adventure, its story is unremarkable, and the sentimental aspects of the film can only be truly valued by loyal fans, while everyone else might not get the same level of emotional experience. This is mainly because of the storytelling, which caters more to those who have watched loads of episodes of Hey Arnold, most importantly the 2-part journal episode, rendering this feature into less of an actual movie and pretty much the journal part 3 instead. This isn't too surprising of course because it was released as a TV special, but you can tell it wants to be more than that, as it has the word movie in its title and the ambition to feel and look like a cinematic release. I think this movie could have benefited from either marketing itself more as a TV episode, or it should have just gone all out and become a theatrically released movie with the budget and time to back its ambitious scale. Hey Arnold the Jungle movie has gained 19 points, which translates into 3 3/4 adventurous strawberries out of 5. If you enjoyed the Hey Arnold TV show and the Goonies, then I think you'll like this film. I'd just like to point out that the graphics for this video were produced by Toongrin. If you'd like to request commissions from them, here's their website on screen. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then consider subscribing to my channel, because I make a lot of similar content to this. Also, feel free to support me on my Patreon in return for awesome rewards. Thank you. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Reviews? Well, I have a confession to make. I've never actually seen a Ray Harryhausen movie. Yeah, I know. I've seen plenty of documentaries on the man, but I've never seen one of his actual movies. Let's change that, as I review Jason the Argonauts next month. Cheerio, folks.